Hello, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to day 2 of the squad at the Women's Center.
Good morning.
How's everyone?
Good morning.
Hello. They're still coming in. Nice to see everyone. Okay. So I want to welcome everyone to day 2 at the Women's Center. I think you all know me by now. My name is Nava. Today we are going to have a 2-hour workshop with Christina Waszak, who is an old colleague, a young colleague. She worked at the Women's Center. She was actually a student at Brooklyn College. We were just talking about it. And I knew her from almost the very beginning, probably. That's how long I worked there. And Christina is here to talk more about how to find out, how to assess your interests, how to assess your skills. She's going to work with you for 2 hours. And after the meeting, we'll have a little break and we're going to all meet again at 4 o'clock. So I'm just going to let people into the meeting, but I'm not going to participate. And the next time I see you will be at 4 later this afternoon. So Christina, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Nava. Hi, everyone. Just a little bit about myself. Christina Waszak, that's my name. I am an alum of Brooklyn College. I studied television and radio. And then I was just saying earlier, I left Brooklyn College. I got a job. I was working at a company that we dealt with television commercials. And I wanted to work with people, not like sitting at a computer for too long. So I ended up getting a job at Brooklyn College as a graduate student. And I studied industrial and organizational psychology at Brooklyn College. It's a great program. And I graduated from there. And I ended up staying at Brooklyn College for a very long time. I worked at Brooklyn College for over 15 years. I worked in the office that is now called SAIL, Student Activities, Involvement, and Leadership. So then in 2018, I started working I worked at a high school for a few months. I was the director of admissions, and then I came back to CUNY, and I work at Borough of Manhattan Community College, BMCC, in student activities. Another great school in CUNY. And so also I am a workshop facilitator. So what that means is I facilitate discussion, I facilitate learning. So that's what I'm here to do today. I'm not going to talk the whole time. We will talk. So, there will be interaction, and the interaction could be your camera is on, you unmute yourself, or you use the chat. I know sometimes not everyone's comfortable with the video on. You might be somewhere where you can have the video on. You might not be able to speak. So there will be some points where I ask for some feedback or volunteers. And so, I just want everybody to feel comfortable. There's no requirements. This really is to help you. So the breakdown of this session, we're going to do an assessment. There's going to be, you don't get a grade. It's kind of quick. So we're going to get into that. And then we're going to process that. We're going to talk about it, learn more about our strengths and our interests. But I'm curious, because I also don't like talking for too long. So I'm curious. I want to know more about you. So if you could just put in the chat your name, well, I'll see your name, but if you could put what's your major? And if you don't have a major yet, what are you interested in? Just to see who we got here in the room today. So if you could just put your major in the chat or what you're interested in. All right, we got anthropology, film, psychology, children and youth studies, Communications, community health, Master of Science, oh, data analytics. All right. Finance, a minor in accounting, television and radio, phys ed. Yes. Okay. Okay. Interested in nutrition, but terrible in math and science. Okay. Business marketing major and film minor. Philosophy and psychology, communication disorders and child studies. Okay. Undecided. Thinking of going into television and radio. All right. It's been a long time since I did TV and radio at Brooklyn College, but it was awesome. I was more on the radio side, but at the time the program was more television focused. So I would say if you're interested in the program, you have to take more than just the first class, which back then it was TV radio 6.5, mass communication, mass media. That was probably my least favorite class in the whole program. So you may have to do a little bit more before, before you decide. And also clubs are so helpful. Major in early childhood and concentration in Puerto Rican studies. Yes, great. All right, so there's a wide variety. I'd like to know more, but I'm pretty good with time, so I'm gonna keep us on time. All right, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna get, like I said, straight to it so that we get this part over with. So thank you all for sharing that. And all right, I just put in the chat a link. It's called 16personalities.com. I'm also gonna share my screen so we can walk through it a little bit. Oh, you did? Okay, you took it before. All right. All right, well, I don't know if you'll remember what you got, but I did it. So I've done it before too, but I did it again yesterday just to like reacquaint myself. And so I can have some results to show you. So there's something called Myers-Briggs type indicator. It is, so once you do this, or if you've done it before, if anyone asks you if you've ever done Myers-Briggs or MBTI, you could say yes. There's a lot of personality assessments. That's one, True Colors. There's Strengths Finder. So there's a few different ones that that we like to use in listen, in student affairs and higher ed, but also there are companies where people will have in their email signature or on their LinkedIn, ENFP, INTJ, and it's like, what are you talking about? What do these letters mean? So we're gonna find out what that means. So you'll be here, you'll click on take the test. So you're gonna be answering each of these questions. Don't think about it for too long, but so you regularly make new friends. So if you're somebody who you walk into a Zoom room, you go into a Zoom room or you go into a physical room and you're like, I always leave with new friends, you're gonna click agree. If you like, nope, I like the people I got, I don't really like no new friends, then you disagree. If you're like, sometimes, but not all the time, that's what these two are. Like if you're more like, yeah, every once in a while I do, or like, yeah, this one is neutral. This is, I don't know. So I'm gonna say, please, if you can, do not choose that one, because it throws off the results a little bit. Because if you do, I don't know for all of them, then the system is gonna not know what to tell you. So even if you do these a little bit more, then do that. So you regularly make new friends. So I meet a lot of people. I don't necessarily make new friends. So I probably clicked that yesterday. Okay. You spend a lot of your free time exploring various random topics that pique your interest. So you like to, you're somebody who Googles a lot. You like watching documentaries. You like reading books. You like learning about things you never learned about before. So if you're like that, then you'll be one of these. If you're like, nah, not really, then you'll be one of these. So you're gonna do that for each one of these. Take your time. If you have questions, you can either unmute yourself, you can put them in the chat, or you can put them in the chat to me. But there's like maybe like 4 pages of these. I think they're all pretty simple. Take your time. And so when you're done, if you can put in the chat done, or I'm done, or I finished, however you want to word it, so that we could see when everyone's done. And so this, I'm gonna do, I think 10 minutes will be enough. What I also want to show you is like when you get to the end, you're gonna get a screen like this. So now you know what I was. And this is, I'll tell you, this is correct. So you'll get this, and then we're gonna talk about this and like, what does that mean and why are we doing this today? Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing and that's what we're gonna do for now. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know.
I didn't know the middle was I don't know. So looking back, my results were definitely thrown off.
Ah, okay. All right. So you did it before?
Yeah, because I did it because like on TikTok it was a trend, and there's another test where you get like additional numbers, and then you put all this information on a website and it tells you like what characters you are in movies, TV shows.
Yes.
It's really cute.
Yeah, we're gonna go over that too. So that's part of what you get. So
Okay, cool. I'm excited.
hey, me too. All right, cool. Yeah. So yep, if you don't do if you can really try not to do the middle. All right, we're almost done. Let's see. Just waiting on a few more people. Yeah, thanks for sharing that website with the the celebrities and the fictional characters. There's also, if you Google like MBTI The Office, or MBTI Lord of the Rings, or they have, or Avengers, they have a grid, and it identifies different characters for each of the types. So that's something that sometimes, like when I would do this workshop and we process all this, then it would be like, oh, look at this. And so it would be like, oh, you're the Hulk, and so we have a little bit of fun, and then we start identifying each other in those ways. But this is something that, because the website is free, you can do this with anyone. It's helpful, and we're going to talk about how it's helpful when you are working with people. So we'll just wait a few more minutes and give anyone else an opportunity. Make sure you put your results in the chat, otherwise I won't know that you're finished. I did a training with a student government at another college, and we did this, we did true colors, and then we did zodiac signs. And then based on everybody's list, we talked about, working with each other and needs and interests and things like that. And it was awesome.
I love that. What's true colors?
Oh, so true colors is, so actually that one you usually have to pay someone to do it. But there are 4 colors. It's orange, gold, blue, and green, and each one represents a different personality type. So with that and with this helps us to get to know more about ourselves and more about each other. But like, I'll tell you about how mine has changed. It sometimes depends on the situation or the mood you're in or the day you're having. And so I don't want anybody to label themselves as like, I am an I 100%, unless you feel that is you. So like mine is an I, but I call myself an introvert who does extroverted things. So sometimes people think I'm an extrovert because of some of the things that I do. For instance, I sit with a group of people and facilitate workshops. And so, you know, there are misconceptions about introverts, but I used to be when I would do this, when I first started doing this, when I was in college, I was extrovert all the time until maybe like, this is 20, maybe like 5 or so years ago, I went a little more introverted. So
Yeah, when I was reading the questions, it was kind of like hard for me to answer them because I was like, it depends on my mood.
yeah. Yep. So that's why I wouldn't do the one in the middle, but I would do, you know, one of the ones on the sides.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah. All right. So we almost have everybody. Yay. Okay, cool. Another one. That was Nicole. Okay. Yeah. So there were 2 of you so far that had a slash. So, and it's that last letter. So when you do Myers-Briggs, it doesn't have that last letter. So it's like you have like a ISTJ-T, that T or that -A. That's not something that we usually do with Myers-Briggs. So it's specific to 16 personalities. So if there's anybody else that hasn't completed it yet, once you're finished, because it's a little after 11:30, so I had put half an hour aside to, you know, just do this part. When you're finished, just please put your results in the chat. So, all right, so now let's talk about it. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, personality types. All right, so here we are. So you'll see you have analysts, diplomats, sentinels, explorers. Now, none are better than the other. And this is something that, especially when I would do true colors, so it would be like the golds are the best and the oranges are, you know, so the golds are like, they're organized and detail oriented, and the oranges are more spontaneous. And so like those tend to be 2 personality types that can clash, because you want to plan things out, and then the orange personality is like, whatever, we'll figure it out when it happens. And the gold is like, no, let's figure it out now. So funny enough, for that one, I am now, my top 2 go between gold and orange. So yeah. So I'm a Capricorn. I'm December 22nd. So I'm on the cusp. So I also, while I am an earth sign, I have the Sagittarius fire. And I feel like as I get older, I'm more, I feel the Sagittarius more. But I'm pretty earthy. My moon is Virgo and my rising is Libra. So that's a little bit more about me. So what I do want to share, so I, where am I? I'm one of the, oh, I'm this one. Okay. So when I did Myers-Briggs the first few times, I was an INTJ, 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 INTJ all the time. I mean, I'm sorry, ENTJ, ENTJ. I was an ENTJ all the time. And then I went INTJ. And the F or the T, so the third letter is feeling versus thinking. And for a lot of my life, I thought. I didn't act based on my feelings, because like, I don't want to deal with my feelings. Like we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to think about it. So So as I got older, I was like, okay, being a leader, you got to be able to balance that, because we need feelings. Feelings help us. Feelings help us to connect with others. And so you can lead and be like, this is how we're going to do things, and this is when you're going to do it. And so you're directing people, but also if you get to know the people you're working with and connect with them, they are more likely to enjoy the work and to get it done well. I had to learn that. So when I was a Brooklyn College student, I thought leadership was telling people what to do and when to do it, how to do it, because I have the power. Now, many years later, I don't agree with that. I agree with something that's called servant leadership, where I'm here to serve others. And so it's interesting that this comes up for me now. And actually, I got rid of the T. Sometimes the T pops up, but when I did this, I got the F. I got the feeling, and I was like, oh, I did it. So I'm curious. Was there anybody who did this and was happy or surprised by something? And feel free, you can put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself.
I'll go. I got debater and I hate debating. So I'm just like, and I told my boyfriend, but he says I love to like argue and fight with him. But I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me because I don't like debating, at least in a public setting. But I can understand the rest of it because I'm always an extrovert when it comes to this quiz. And yeah.
Okay, and debater. So that's ENTP. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Let's look at that one. Okay, the debater. Because I think also some of this, because it has a title, the debater, we think like, I'm not a debater, but then maybe if you look through it all, then you go, okay, well, maybe I do that. So knowledgeable, quick thinker, original, excellent brainstormers, charismatic, energetic. All right, so those are strengths. Would you mind sharing, do you think any of these are your strengths?
Not really. Like, they all sound good. Like, they're all good and they're there, but those are not like my key things. Like, I don't know. I just don't think this fits me very well.
What would you say are your key things then?
I feel like I'm more like creative than that. Like, that's just like very analytical, and I'm not that type of person. At least maybe not in a public setting. In my room, maybe when I'm just by myself, but not in like everybody's around. I'm not gonna be like, yeah, let's think about this and like, what is the meaning of life? Like, that's not me.
So what I just heard you say is that you might be like that when you're with yourself.
A little bit, but not even like to the extent that I'm hearing it there, you know?
Okay. Okay. So this happens sometimes. And like, that's why I said, like, don't use this as a label, like I'm a debater because this says so. Like, no, this is being used to just, get the conversation going about everyone's strengths and your interests. Oh, so I'm looking at the chat. You went from INTP to an INFP, and you don't think the F is true. Ah, well, I'm curious about that one because, like I said, I went from a T to a F, but I go back and forth depending on. So, like, if I was in the physical office, I might have gotten the T because when I work, I tend to work from my head. So I organize, I make lists, I got calendars, I solve problems, I get the details. Like, that tends to be my job. Well, that tends to be a strength of mine. But what I've found is I also really, in the end, my power lies in my feelings. My power lies in my connections. And so that's why I've been leaning into that more, because that's actually, so like I could sit here and I could explain, you know, Myers-Briggs and 16 personalities to you and just be like, this is this, E and I, T and J, you know, all that. And then be like, have a good day. But then you wouldn't know anything about me and I wouldn't know anything about you. You wouldn't know anything about each other. And this, hopefully this is not boring, but this would be more boring than it would be now. Cause it would be like a lecture, like a class, where you're just getting information thrown at you. And so for me, I can't do that anymore. I did at one point. So, all right. So let's go through. I want to bring up. All right. So I want to actually go through what this all means. All right. So this was mine. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use mine to explain. So you got the I and the E. So the E is extroverted. So a lot of you got E's. And like I said, one is not better than the other. So an extrovert, simply put, an extrovert tends to feel energized around other people, while an introvert, their energy is drained, and not in a bad way. It's just that like we have to refuel our energy more often than an extrovert. So like and I didn't realize I was doing this until I like really dove into E and I. Before I do a workshop, especially in person. So when I worked at Brooklyn College and I would go to BMCC to facilitate a workshop, I would go into a bathroom. It was like a superhero. I'd walk in an introvert and leave an extrovert. So I would go there was the same stall every time. I would go in there, I would change my shoes. I'd put on heels because I was just on the train. Put on, if I was changing or whatever I was doing. And then I would come out, and when I came out of the bathroom, it was like, hey, everyone, how's it going? And my energy was up. By the time the workshop was done and you finished talking to the students and you go back to the bathroom, it was like, okay, I'm taking my heels off. I'm getting on the train. I'm listening to music, and it was me time. And that was how I would refuel my energy. It's not that we don't like people. It's just that, we need me time more than extroverts do. And so that is something to be mindful of when you're working with other people. Sometimes you think someone's off on their own because they don't want to talk to you or they don't want to work with you, when they just need some time to themselves. But the key there is, I'll say, I've learned to communicate my needs. Like, you know what? I just need a few minutes to myself. I'll be right back. Everything's cool. I just want to process, or whatever the situation might be. So you communicate it and you do it in a genuine yet loving way. Like, you can't be like, y'all are too much. I need to get away from you, even though you might be thinking that. Because they might take that and get offended by that. So we don't want to offend people. We want to communicate in a way that is loving yet genuine. So this trait determines how we interact with our environment. Yeah. So energy. This trait shows where we direct our mental energy. So yeah. So isn't that like being an empath? So Victoria, do you feel like explaining it? Because then there's a question: what's an empath? But you're muted.
I don't know if I can explain it correctly. I just know I got my tarot cards read and they told me I was an empath, and I kind of felt it. So an empath is basically like when you're surrounded by people, sometimes like when you come home and you're by yourself, you'll feel a little drained and you need time to like recover from being around people.
Thank you. Yeah, so you can feel other people's energy. So like one of the questions was like when you're around people who are crying, it makes you want to cry or makes you feel like you want to cry. So like that. So which, I mean, that's a good point because we're at intuitive versus an observant. So I tend to go more into my intuition. So like how, I trust my feelings, which is where you see the F as well, the feeling comes in, than just off of what I see. So the observant is like, based on what I see, what you see, it's only 56 and 44. So it's almost half and half. I go based on what I see, but also I have instincts and I trust them most of the time. So I'll be like, no, I think we should do this. And it's not based on anything I saw. It's based on what what my intuition is telling me. So some people might call that, having faith. So you have faith in certain things and, just trust me. I know we haven't done it before, but I got a good feeling about it. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's, the Force. The Force is strong with me. So that's what that is. Nature. So this trait determines how we make decisions and cope with emotions. So the T is thinking, the F is feeling. So this to me is amazing as I look at this for myself. Because this one was like almost half and this one is heavier on the feeling. So that means, like what I said earlier, you look to your thoughts more. So you go like you lead, there's leading with your head, leading with your heart, so if you lead with your head, you go, you're analytical, you're you look at the details, you want facts, where it's like, I think based on how we've done things before, that's how we should continue to do them, or maybe we shouldn't. Where feeling is based on how you feel about something. Like, I feel like this is going to be tough. And so like, I don't want to do that, even though we've done it that way, like, and it's worked every time, it's difficult every time. And I feel like maybe we shouldn't do it that way, just. And so also I would say it's, so how we make decisions. Okay. So if you're leading a group or you're in a group together and not necessarily the leader, but you want to do something, but you see that everyone else is like, they're tired, they're drained, they're hungry, whatever it is. You feel that, you go, all right. And so you want to connect with them. You go, I know we got to get this thing done, but what if we take like a 10-minute break? Would you be okay with that? Oh my gosh, yes, that would be great. So you're more in tune with the people instead of just like task. So there's task behavior and there's relationship behavior. So task is when you're focused on the task, on the job that has to get done. And relationship behavior is when you're focused on the relationships that are involved with completing the task. So it's good to balance that. Tactics. This trait reflects our approach to work, planning, and decision-making. So judging, and I'm curious, let's see, the J and the P. Let me just see how everybody did with that. Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's a mix. It's a mix. Okay. All right, cool. Let me go back. So judging. Here we go. All right, back. All right. So judging versus prospecting. So you see, it's like how you, how you work, how you plan. I am a planner. I am mostly confident with my decision making. And there were some questions like, when you make a decision, do you harp, like this was not the wording, but do you harp on it later? Like, was it a good decision? Was it a bad decision? I don't really do that too often. And so I could see why like this was a 71 judging versus 29 prospecting. So it's, I plan, I make decisions where like, I don't really think, I don't put too much time and into the thought process. I put what I feel is enough. But here's the thing, it's good. So for all of this, it's good to have both. I mean, you're gonna have both. When I look at the results, we got E's, we got I's, we got I's, we got O's. ends. So we have a mix. And that's one of the toughest things to do, is to work with people who are different than you, because you don't always understand. So like, if you like to make decisions quickly, but then you have people who are like, I don't know, let me think about it, which I do that sometimes. But if you have somebody who does that all the time, you might be like, they're holding me back, they're taking too long, I don't understand. And so this helps, and we're going to talk more about how to understand other people. And the identity, this trait underpins all others, showing how confident we are in our abilities and decisions. So that goes back to that. So like, oh, they're actually the exact same. Look at that. So yeah, so assertive. And I think for me, this depends on the situation. I'm not always gonna, so I don't always have to be the leader. Sometimes being a group member, that's how you lead. You don't always have to be the president or the spokesperson or whatever it's gonna be. You know, we all have our strengths, and we're gonna get more into that. If you look, so I know I've just been looking at mine, but I'm gonna go back to the website, and then I'm gonna stop talking. Let's go back. Just gonna go back to, I do think for myself, the mediator is a good word. Where is it? It has, everything I just went over, it gives a more in depth. I think it's like, it's called like, let me go back. It's, oh, you know what? It's on the other. Yes. Okay. It's on the other one. All right. Because I don't want to keep going over mine. Here we go. All right, cool. So yeah, personality types. Oh, that's where I was before. Okay. All right, fine. Let's go to the debater. So yeah, it explains like prospecting. This is what I wanted. Okay. So judging versus prospecting, it explains what judging is and what prospecting is. And you see for each one, I'll go back, it gives you things about strengths and weaknesses and career paths. So I'm curious, if you could go to your type and go to career paths. Do you agree or disagree? So if you could either unmute or put in the chat. So you see like the debater, they make brilliant lawyers, psychologists, system analysts, and scientists. So if you could put in the chat, whatever is there as a career path, do you agree or disagree? Nope. Karina, we just, this one, yeah. And remind me. Okay. Okay. Right, so Karina, you were this one. All right, so you agree. All right, so we got some. I don't know who all these people are. Who's Adam Savage? Okay, mediators find their life purpose in the performing arts. I agree. All right, so we got some agrees. We got a few agrees. All right, cool. And definitely a few disagrees. Tom Hanks, Thomas Edison, bleh. Oh gosh. Captain Jack. Everybody needs a Captain Jack in their lives. Jim. Yeah. Mine was the mediator. So for those, let's see, we got These are different people than they showed me yesterday. Huh. Alicia Keys. Tom. Oh, okay. Loki. Julia Roberts. Johnny Depp. Yeah, they showed me different people yesterday.
I noticed that for the ENFP, I think, they had Joker in it, but on the other website, I'm assuming it's the recent Joker that's INFP, and it's weird. So it's different Jokers that are different personality types.
That's true. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. This is true. All right. Anybody else? I saw some agrees. I saw some disagrees. Any like one thing that you were like, wait, what? Either unmute yourself or you can put it in the chat. Because then we're going to move on. We're going to talk a little bit less about this and a little bit more about your career interests and your strengths. Okay.
What is the strategy? Like, I see my strategy is social engagement. Do you know what that means?
Okay, so let's see. ES
Oh.
for
It says how you approach everyday situations and achieve your goals. I don't think mine is social engagement though.
Okay, is this you, the entertainer?
I don't know. I'm E.
ESFP. Yeah. Okay.
ENFP, yeah.
You were ESF. Okay. All right. So, and then that's in career paths.
These are campaigners.
I don't know. It says, hi, Victoria, where it says your type, your code, your role, and your strategy. It says strategy, social.
Okay. Got it. So you don't think it's, what did it say? Social interaction?
Yeah. Social engagement. Yeah, I don't think it's that.
Okay. But this is an E. So why wouldn't you think that?
I don't know. I don't have that many friends, so I don't think I'm very like socially engaged.
Well, we just met and you've been pretty vocal. So, and I'm, you don't have to unmute yourself. It's not like, all right, that's it, I'm not gonna talk anymore. No, my point is, so I'm sharing, it says excellent people skills, more so than, what? Oh, I get it. Entertainers love to pay attention to people. They are talkative, witty, and almost never run out of things to discuss.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'm talkative.
Yeah. So, so it might, like, that's why I wanted to look at it, because when I think of social engagement, I think of like, I like to go to parties. I want to, I have a lot of friends. But like in business, it could be you're not afraid to speak up, or like, you're okay. Like here, you're okay with sharing, your personality type and that you got here and different things. So, so that's why I asked the question, because some of this, it's like, it might not make sense, but then when you share it with other people, it's like, oh, okay. So it does, we know a lot about ourselves, but also we can look to other people to provide us some insight, but also it's gotta be people that you can trust, that aren't gonna say things that are gonna hurt you. Well, actually, they're not gonna say things because they want to hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what did you say your major was again?
Communication disorders.
Got it. Okay. So as far as, can you tell us a little bit more about that? What does that mean?
So basically, I just want to be a speech therapist, help people learn how to talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes. All right, cool. Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, so there you go. So just having that little conversation, it makes sense. Anybody else, last questions or comments about this? Okay. All right, so so we have, it's 12 o'clock. And one of the things that was on that list was strengths and weaknesses. And so for some of us, we agree with them. Some of us, we don't, some of them we don't agree. I want to know what you think your strengths are without I mean, the website could help you, but maybe you came here today. So like Karina, I think you have things that you think of that aren't necessarily on that website. So, you know, for everyone else, you might be in a similar situation. So that's what I want to learn more about. If you had to, actually, you have to, if you could pick 3 strengths, and what I want you to think about is when working with others, when in a leadership role, you know, if it's a class project, if you're involved with clubs and you're working with other people, if you have a job and you're working with other people, what are 3 things that you would say are strengths? And think about like, well, I don't mean to, but every time I'm in a group, this is the role I tend to get, or this is the type of task I tend to complete. So 3 things, 3 strengths, and you could put them in the chat or you could unmute yourself. If you unmute yourself, if you could also put it in the chat as well, because I'm going to take note of these things. So 3 strengths. And if you want to use the website as a help, you can do that. I'm not looking at it anymore. So if there's something that's listed for your type, I'm not going to know. So it could be you listen to people. They feel like they have someone to listen to. Okay. You are so, you know, when you're planning an event, you have people who come up with the ideas, and then you have people who implement the ideas. You could be both, or you could be one of them. For me, I can be both. But sometimes I just want to have the idea and then not work on it. Oh, good. You're going to work on it? Awesome. Okay. But also when you do that, the idea might change from what you came up with initially. And you got to, you know, if you're not okay with that, then you got to do it all yourself. I'm smiling because some of these I could see people not liking. So that's actually part of the conversation, which is awesome. You know, like I said, we have different different personalities, different comfort levels. So some of these I would say for myself, and I know that not everybody is comfortable with them or appreciates them. Okay. And so if you haven't done that, please do it, because in the end, this is all going to help you. Well, it's going to help you in a lot of different ways, but, you know, working with the Women's Center, you're going to be working on different projects and working together, working with other people, working on your own. So we want to make sure that you are aware of your strengths, I'm gonna have a few more questions to ask you, to make sure you're aware of certain things. And it's gonna help you with the work that you're gonna be doing with the Women's Center. We have a few more people that did not respond. What are your strengths? So they're in the chat. Like I said, there's a few people who have not put it in the chat yet. You're not off the hook. What are 3 strengths you have? Because I have a spreadsheet here. So I know who's missing. All right, so I'm gonna stick with this number 3. For those of you who have put it in the chat, or actually, even if you didn't, can I have 3 volunteers? I want you to say it. What are the 3 strengths that you shared? So if I could have 3 volunteers, especially if there's someone that we haven't heard from yet, I would love to hear your voice. Part of it is I want you to be able to say it. Say it loud and say it proud. Okay, cool. I have a few hands raised. All right, we have, and please tell me if I'm pronouncing it right. Is it Dilvan? Cool. All right, I have 4. I'm gonna go with 4. Dilvan, Christy, Amber, and Hadika. Okay, so we'll go Dilvan, Christy, Amber, Hadika. Okay, yes, we'll go with 4. I'm gonna mute myself and then you tell us, what are your 3 strengths?
Okay, so I'm starting. My first one, I think I am like organized. So I organize everything, even the like daily life. I write it and I make schedule for everything. So I like it actually. And the second one is motivated. I am high motivated person. So I love that. And the third one is analytical thinking. That's why I'm studying data analytics. So because I think I am really good at it. So these 3.
Thank you for sharing. All right, next I said Christy.
Hi, I don't have my camera on, but I look like a mess right now. I'm so sorry. So the same thing, organization. I literally live with my planner. I cannot live without it. And I am a fast learner and a pretty good problem solver. My high school was a film high school, so I worked on sets a lot, and you really need to be like a really good problem solver because time is everything. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome, thank you for sharing. And I think we had Amber too, am I correct?
Yeah, so my 3, the first one I picked was a leadership skills, because I just tend to pick up that role. Like I don't, ever since I've like been in musical theater, I just do that. And then I said I was pretty good at communication. Like I like when people tell me when I do something wrong or I offend them, and like for me to listen and then us talk about it. Like I like doing that. And then my third one is I think I'm pretty good at being aware of my surroundings. Like when someone's probably being a little bit too mean to other people or just putting out bad energy or like stuff like that. I feel like I can, kind of like sense it in a way.
Thank you for sharing that. I also heard that you are open to hearing feedback about you and the work that you do, which is not always easy. So that's another way that you can phrase that is, you're open to it. And yeah, that if you'd like, that's a 4th one. Thank you for sharing. And Hadika, last.
Okay, so I think I tend to be the one coming up with ideas about how we're gonna present our project and how we're gonna who's gonna go first and everything in order. And the second one is I tend to be the one who is writing things down and trying to make notes, so it's kind of organized. And the third one, I think I'm more understanding, like understand if people want to change their role or they want to do something else, I'll be like, okay, go for it. So like that kind of person.
Thank you. All right. So I also heard, so you said organized, I also heard detail oriented.
Yeah,
So,
detail.
yeah. And the last one, would you say you're supportive of others?
Yeah, like I don't say it's my ideas, you have to implement this idea. So I'm open to other ideas, open-minded.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you, everyone. Okay. All right. So it's a good list we got here. Okay. So also thinking about these, so you have strengths. What are your interests? So that could be hobbies. I don't want to go career wise yet, because that's going to be another question. So what are things that you're interested in? So one of the things that like the profile said, the 16 personalities, it's like these people tend to like to blah, blah, blah. You know, they like to read, they like to write stories, they like to play games, you know, whatever it is. So if you could also put in the chat, let's just stick with three things that you like to do. So if I said like, all right, and just you know, not thinking about, I know this is difficult, not thinking about COVID or safety, just what are some things that you would, you know, you would want to do later? I was like, we're all going to do 3 things that we like. What are those 3 things? And put it in the chat. And if you can try not to say sleep. Sometimes people are like, I love sleep. I do too. But I mean, while you're awake, 3 things that you enjoy doing. So it could be, I like to volunteer with children. I like to volunteer with dogs. I like to read. I like to watch television. I like to cook. I like to run. I like to swim. I like to meditate. I like to eat. Okay. I think I got everybody. There's still a few people that I think I didn't see. Let me see. Make sure I got everyone. Oh, okay. I did not get everyone. Oops. Okay. Cool. All right. Awesome. Okay. It's a wide variety of activities. So what I'd like, first, thanks for putting that in the chat. If I could have 3 people different than the 4 that went before, who will verbally, you'll say it, you'll unmute yourself. If I could get 3 volunteers, please. You'll just share. What are some of the things that you like to do? You already put it in the chat, so you could even just read it if you wanted.
I'll go.
Okay, awesome.
I like cleaning and doing laundry. I find that very therapeutic. Don't know why, but it's just like I ask everyone to just like let me do their laundry so I could just, you know, do it myself. I like waking up early before everyone wakes up so like I could take in the quietness. I mean, I moved to Staten Island recently and so it's like extremely quiet here, but like I still love waking up before everyone else wakes up. And I like going to local shows and yeah, that's it.
Great, thanks for sharing. Yeah, doing laundry. Do you have to, like, do you take it somewhere?
Before I used to have to go to the laundromat, but now we have our own washer and dryer, so I just do it. And I have the basement for myself. I sleep in the basement, and so the washer and dryer is right here. So I just like, it's so convenient for me. Anyway, yeah.
Awesome. So it's like, just bring your laundry. I'll do it.
Right,
Do
exactly.
you like to fold it too?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just the warmth of like, it's just so clean, and it's just like, yeah, that's it.
Thank you for sharing that. All right. Anybody else open to somebody we didn't have in the last 4 who talked about their strengths? Great. Thank you. I saw a hand raised.
Yeah, hi. I'm also living in Staten Island, so that's cool. I said cooking. I like to cook, not a lot, but occasionally when it's like all my own terms for whoever I want to make it. It's really enjoyable and relaxing. I like reading like fantasy and short stories, not necessarily too long, but like anything that'll take me to like a very creative, different world. I like. And the last thing, oh yeah, going out with friends. Just like ever since COVID and after that, anytime you can have like a nice big social interaction outdoors is great.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, outdoors is great. Yes, Maria.
I like swimming. After I learned how to swim last year I learned how to swim late only because, I didn't grow up with a pool or anything. But I had to learn how to swim for my major. And after I learned, it was just amazing. Like I was able to go to the deep side. The pool in Brooklyn is like 13 feet. And like the first time I went in there, I was like, I'm never gonna make it. And by the 3rd month, I was swimming back and forth. And now like I feel like I don't know how to swim anymore. And I can't find an indoor pool. Like I don't know if I go back, I would know how to swim. I don't know if like you lose it or you don't.
Well, first, thank you for sharing that. I love that pool. That pool is amazing.
It's amazing. And I would go on my breaks, like when I had 3-hour break, I would go. Yeah, it was amazing. I miss it.
Eventually, you will get it back. And I think like maybe the first time you're back in the pool, you'll have to get reacquainted with it. But then after that, I think you'll be like, wait, I did this already. I'm good. That's what I think. That's what I hope for you. Because
yeah, I hope so.
yeah, right. And you were the phys ed major?
Yeah, I'm in phys ed. And I don't know any sports, and like swimming is the only thing that I was so into. And like I was hoping maybe I could keep learning and get like, I don't know, a lifeguard certification and stuff like that. But there's nowhere to learn right now. Everything is like closed or restricted or only for kids. It's impossible.
Yeah, I know. Oh, that's tough. I heard that, there are certain programs in the city that they needed lifeguards for, but they didn't have enough lifeguards. Like they don't have swim lessons for kids, is what I saw, at least in Brooklyn. So I live in Brooklyn. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how are you with the ocean? Well,
pretty good.
Okay.
Like I don't get scared anymore if my feet don't touch the water. And I used to panic every time I was not on the ground. But like after I learned how to swim and I was able to go back to the beach, I was like, wow, this isn't like, I'm not panicking anymore. I was able to go back and like shred the water. I was like, what?
Look at me. That's great.
Yeah. But I'm still scared of the ocean.
Yeah. So I was going to say the ocean is a living thing. It moves. It
drags you.
Right. I respect the ocean. There's certain so like today I don't think it's gonna rain. I think it's hot. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll go to the beach. I'm like, nope. With the storms yesterday and the next few days, the ocean is gonna be wild and beautiful, but like also destructive and unsafe. So that ocean, swimming in the ocean is definitely different than swimming in the pool. I swam as a kid. Like we would have to go somewhere because I didn't have a pool nearby. I mean there was like a club, but you had to pay for that. Like it was I don't know if you're from Brooklyn. I lived in Starrett City growing up. So I didn't have a pool. But I don't know, 2011, I think it was, I took a continuing ed class at Baruch where their their swim coach, she was for the entire team. The swim coach taught the class. And so I learned all of the strokes. I learned diving. I learned flip turn, like all these different things. So it's like, once the pools are open, like even, I mean, as a student, you know, you'll have access to the pool at Brooklyn College. The Brooklyn College pool is amazing. So yeah, so all right, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, was that 3? I forgot now. All right. So let me explain why we did all this. And there is one more question. So when you're working in groups, but especially when you're going on interviews, whether it be for scholarships, for internships, for jobs, these are things that you should know. Because one of the questions often is like, what are you good at? Or like, let's say they do, you know, like a scenario. Let's say you are working in a group. What is one strength you would bring to the group? Well, you got 3 here. Also, they will ask you something, sometimes they ask you, what is something that you want to work on? What is a weakness? I don't tend to talk about weaknesses. I talk about things that I might need to work on. So it's always good to have one of those in your pocket, you know, and you're ready to share. And then like ways that you have started working on it or you continue to work on it. So I would rather deal with people than deal with computers, but that is not the reality, especially in the last year. But right now I'm dealing with the computer, but I'm dealing with people too. So that's a way that I'm able to do both. Also, so like if I'm dealing with an Excel spreadsheet, I know I got to do it. I put on some music. So it's like, how do you deal with it as well? I have to do it. So I put on some music and I type away and I get it done. It helps me to focus. So those are things that they want to know as well. Like, how do you work on yourself? Those interests. So that shows me that, I mean, for some of you, you tend to like to do things on, you know, with yourself. Some of you like more physical things. Some of you like a mix. And so when you look at those things, look at also how you work with others. Do you like projects where it's like, here's the project or here's the task and you go and you work on it? Or would you rather be in a group, brainstorm, and then each of you gets a task? And then you come together in the end to get it all done. So basically, would you rather work alone or would you rather work with people? Are you somewhere in the middle? Because when you're working, it tends to be both. And so it's good to be comfortable with both, but knowing your preference. I'm in the middle. I like to work with people. So remember, I'm an introvert. So I like to work with people because I do extroverted things, but also I like to do some things by myself. So if we're having a discussion now and it's like, what are the goals of this workshop? I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to get back to you on that one. Because when I have to focus on like academic or like real details, I want to do that on my own. I make a list, I write it out, I cross it out, and then I bring it to you and we could discuss. So the more you get to know about yourself, the better you are at working with others. Working with other people, whether it's virtual or in person, is part of life. So also, there's something called an elevator pitch. I don't know if you've heard of that before. It's a brief explanation. So let's say that you are, you're at an event and somebody that you want to work for or somebody that you want their job one day gets in the elevator with you, what are you going to say to them? How are you going to get a job with them? Or how are you going to talk about yourself? And so one of the things why I'm asking for different people is I want you to get comfortable speaking about yourself. So there's speaking and then there's speaking about yourself. We don't always do that. We often we're told, don't brag about yourself. When you told me your strengths, so those to me, those are just facts. You're not, I said brag about yourself, go ahead. But also it's just facts about you and I'm learning more about you. And so that's part of what we're doing here today is getting you comfortable with speaking. So I have one more question before we go into a final debrief of everything. So if you could put in the chat, one, you might have multiple and that's fine too. Career goals, career interests. Like I would like to, I want to be a lifeguard. Or I want to have my own law firm or whatever it is. Dream it up and put it in the chat. If it's one, if it's four, it doesn't matter. Give it all. And then I will ask for 3 people who are willing to share. If you're not sure, just throw some things out. It doesn't even have to do with your major, or it could. Some of us are very, this is my major. I'm going to go to school, do this, and then I'm going to do that. And some of us are like, I don't know. I'd like to work in a flower shop. So I'm taking note of this for everyone. But it would be good if you do for yourself. Take note of the the things you put in the chat today, and then go back to it every once in a while. I worked with a coach who talked about how you could split the year into quarters. So January, February, March is one. April, May, June is another. July, August, September is another. October, November, December. So there's 4 quarters in a 12-month year. And so, at the end of each quarter, you assess, and you have goals for each quarter. So you can do that. You can do it per semester, which is another way as well, per season, summer, fall, so on and so forth. And things take time. Like some of these that I'm seeing, I'm like, oh, you could do that. Well, some of these you could do like right now. You would have to do some studying and work with somebody to learn them, and some of them more long-term. And like I said, none of these are, they're all awesome. I think almost everybody. Yeah, almost everyone here. Let me just read through. Okay. Yeah, I'm like, you could do all of this. And hopefully you know that. I'm not you, right? I'm not gonna do them, you're gonna do them. So, and you might change your mind, you might not. But know that you can do whatever you want. Sometimes you will need help. Sometimes you can't do it on your own, so you'll have to reach out, but you can do all of this. All right. So just about everybody has given a career goal, at least one. So could we have, I'm gonna go with 3 people again. If we could have 3 people, we'll try if you did not speak yet, and we'll see how that goes. And if not, then we'll open it up to everyone. So do we have 3 people, 3 volunteers who will just talk a little bit? You put it in the chat, like it's a few words, but give us a little bit more. Like, what is that? What is your career goal, and why did you choose that? If there's somebody who didn't speak yet, then please, that would be awesome. And
Unmuted. Yeah, I don't mind going actually.
Awesome, thank you.
So I'm majoring in early child education. So I said I want to teach in my own classroom. I also said I want to work abroad. Hopefully like teach in another country. I also said I want to write my own book. I don't know really what I want to write a book about, but I just like reading memoirs, so possibly just a memoir about myself. That's all I wrote.
Okay, well, can I ask you a few questions?
Yeah, you can ask me questions.
Awesome. Okay, so when you say you want to be a teacher in a classroom, do you have a subject you're interested in?
I'm doing early childhood and special education, so I don't really have a specific subject, but just the fact of just having my own classroom just satisfies me.
Why?
Well, because I like to work with people specifically, and just and just studying in classes. I just feel like a culturally responsive classroom is something that most people are beginning to facilitate, and I feel like that's very important because I just feel like it's a way to include everybody's cultures, everyone's backgrounds, and I feel like that's what makes people relate to the class material. And then especially if like the class is being taught in multiple formats, it's a way to facilitate instruction in everyone's learning style. So I want to challenge myself and do that with other children.
We need that. Thank you so much. Another question: if you want to work abroad, do you have any ideas of where you want to work?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, so you said you want to work abroad. Do you have any ideas of where you would want to work?
I do not have any idea where I want to work. I'm still thinking of that one. My background is from Mexico, so possibly in Mexico, because I'm fluent in Spanish. So that's just a possibility. I don't really know yet.
Okay, all right, no problem. Thank you. Let's see, we have in the chat. Okay, thank you. All right. Anybody else want to speak, share verbally what you put in the chat? 2 more people, and then we're almost done for today. All right, so if there's anybody who spoke already and you are interested in verbally sharing your goals, why you put that in the chat, I'm going to open it up. 2 more people.
I'll go.
Okay, thank you.
I wrote that I want to be a traveling journalist. Since high school, when I took journalism in junior year, I've always had an interest in being able to travel around and, report things and just like learn from different places around the world. And I just feel like it's a great opportunity to be able to explore and travel while still learning and taking it in, I guess. Yeah. And I also said like it would be a dream, not like if I'm like in my old age, own a laundromat, and that would be like fun to just like spend my last few years. I don't know. Yeah.
So like after you retire as a journalist, then you would have a laundromat.
Right, exactly. That's the dream.
Yeah, I want to work in a flower shop. So
That's nice.
there you go. All right. And I was just looking, so you're a television and radio major.
Right.
Okay. All right. So that's in line with that. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Amber, I see your hand raised. So you go next.
Okay, so it's funny because everyone put in a little bit of something that at one point I wanted to be, but like all my dreams in life kind of said but like right now I'm like kind of in the works, I guess you can say, or like trying to pursue like a career, and I'm putting that in quotation marks, with as a content creator and like just an influencer, I guess you can say, like what like these Instagram people do. I just thought like it's always something that I've been interested in, and it's like something that it's kind of, I don't want to say easy, but like something that's I sound stupid, but something that's just like something that I know I can do without having everyone's help, or like having to do so many years of college or whatever. But like if that never worked out, then I planned on like, at one point I want to be a music therapist, but I don't think I want to do that anymore because I kind of don't want to go to get my master's. I don't know. And then or like work with like children to teach them music, or like in the musical theater field, something like that.
Thank you. You did not sound stupid. So it was, so I put social media content creator, right? And something with music. So do you currently handle anyone's social media accounts for them?
No, not really. So my sister, she has like this Instagram blog for models, and I help her with that. And like, so that's just really where I'm at. And then I'm focusing on like trying to revamp my social media account, like my Instagram account. But like that's really it.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And anybody else? One more person. Victoria. Okay.
I said it. I wanted to be a speech pathologist at a preschool for children with special needs. Yeah.
And what's your major?
Communication disorders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're working on that already.
Yeah, I currently work at a preschool right now as a teacher's assistant. And a couple years ago, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, like I just knew I wanted to help people. And then I worked at a preschool, realized I liked little kids. And I actually worked at a special needs preschool for one summer, and I like fell in love with it. I love the kids. I love the atmosphere and everything.
All right, great. So it helps to try different things, and you ended up liking it.
Yeah, definitely. I was always like switching jobs. I used to work at TJ Maxx. Like I worked everywhere. I was always like quitting if I didn't like it. But it was good because then I found what I wanted to do.
Thank you. So that's a good lesson. It's like you try different things. Some of them you don't like, some of them you do like. I like, actually, I like customer service. I like being a cashier. I worked at the Gap in Brooklyn. Actually, after I left Brooklyn College, I took some time off, and I was like, you know what? I liked retail. Let me do that for a little bit before I go back into the next job. And I loved it. Like if they could pay me what I would like to get paid, I might have stayed there.
I hated retail. Like I'm so bad at math. Being a cashier would give me anxiety. Like stocking shelves, I was so bored.
And I love it. Okay. See,
Yeah.
and so like for you and I, if we work together, like, all right, stocking shelves, let Christina do that. you know, and then you, I would say like, I mean, although I like working with people, you're good with people. So like, because you don't want to stock the shelves, I'll take that and then you deal with the people. And if you get tired with the people, then like, all right, you might stock shelves for a little bit just to get a break from the people. And so learning about the people that you're working with, that's how you help each other. So I'll be like, all right, I got it, because I like folding clothes and organizing in sizes. It's ridiculous.
I used to fold clothes and they would be so mad when I did it because they'd be like, Victoria, you're folding it wrong. We taught you so many times. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
So see, that was not a good job for you. See, what's also tough is that we do need money for things. And so sometimes we will get into a job or a career because it gives us money. So if you ever end up in that situation, if it's not the thing you feel you love, then figure out how to do the thing you love. Like, is it a hobby? Is it do you volunteer? You know, so that you get it in your life in some way. Ideally, we would all love to be in a career and a job that we love. The reality is, it might be the career, sometimes it's not, the job is not the right fit, because jobs, it's more than the work you do. It's the people, it's your supervisor. If you're supervising staff, it's the staff you supervise. It's the community. There's so much to it. And so the more opportunities you expose yourself to and you engage in, the more you learn what you like and what you don't like. So I'm at a point in a career where I know certain things, they're not going to work for me. And I know certain things I'm flexible on, and I know certain things are the perfect fit. So, so while you're students, you know, getting involved, you know, if you volunteer, if you do internships, if you get involved in clubs, of course, I'm going to say clubs are awesome. It's different virtually, but clubs are still functioning. They're just doing a lot of things virtually. You get to know people. You still have group projects and things like that. So you're still interacting with people. And in the end, it also builds up your resume. So, so I want to thank you all for sharing what you did. I hope you learned a lot about yourselves today. I learned a lot about you. I have a whole Excel spreadsheet about you. I want to add in your majors from the chat, because for me, there's a story when I look at the spreadsheet. So there's your 16 personalities type. That tells me a little bit about you. And then I have your strengths. And then I have your interests. And then I have your career interests. So what I would like you to do is keep all of this in mind when you're working with the Women's Center. For instance, you know, based on your interests, your career interests, there might be a project that you could initiate for the Women's Center. And, you know, there might be something you have an idea for, and maybe it needs to be, you know, like worked on a little bit, you know, but you will be asked about projects that you want to work on for the Women's Center. And so you might have a list of 4, like, ooh, what about a blog? Do you have a blog for the Women's Center? Or, oh, what about social media? Or like, do we have volunteer projects? You know, do we have virtual workshops? Which I know some of these things, I know they have. So you might work with a staff member as they plan that. So someone said about becoming, oh, Maria, right? Becoming a yogi and learning the pole dance. The pole dancing is hard because, like, if you don't have a pole at home, then, you know, like, unless you go to a studio, but the yoga, that's not as tough right now anyway. So, or like marketing, there's a lot of things here. Oh, someone else said yoga too. All right. Yeah, so you might end up working together. A few of you talked about music. You talked, you know, about modeling, about health. And so think about all those things and think about something that you would want to work on for the Women's Center. And then when that discussion comes up, you might have a few ideas and some of you might have similar ideas, and then you'll work together. And then you'll keep in mind, well, my strengths are, I'm detail oriented. So if you need somebody to make the list, like the to-do list, that's going to be me. We should maybe have a timeline for this event. Like, when do we want to have the details finalized? When do we want to have a flyer ready? Or do we need a flyer? How are we going to do that? And then if you're that to-do list person, you need somebody to create the flyer and the social media posts, So we all need each other in some way. And so it's like in sports, they recruit people. So like, I'm going to recruit, like in American football, I'm going to recruit a quarterback who has worked with these types of plays, because as the coach, that's what I prefer. So, you recruit people that it's like, you want to work on this program together, and you need somebody who does social media. You need somebody who likes working with people. And so knowing your strengths, that will help you. But it'll also help you in the future. So I don't want you to forget any of this. Please, like I said, part of putting it in the chat was like, you can copy it and like put it in your phone, put it on wherever, your laptop, computer, wherever you're at. You can write it out and design it, and then post it on your wall. But we only have a few more minutes left. So I wanted to, to end with those ideas, just to bring everything together. And so I'm curious if there's like one thing, and you can put it in the chat, you can unmute yourself, one thing that stood out to you during the session, something you learned about yourself, you learned about others. Feel free, you can put it in the chat or unmute yourself. I just need to know that you learned something. Guests, I learned the reason why I might appear extroverted at first impression when really I'm introverted. Same. Okay, I don't perform well under pressure. Okay. And sometimes you can work on that by, well, I'm not gonna say keep putting pressure on yourself, don't do that. But sometimes just being in, the more you're in situations that, there is pressure, you get comfortable. But, like I like to plan ahead, and I don't like, I really don't like dealing with last minute things and being under pressure. Like, you just know that about yourself. Yeah, a lot of us are similar. Yep. I need to work more on my confidence. So depending on what the confidence is related to, being involved with the Women's Center, like if it's, let's say it's public speaking. So you can say to Xiaofang or Nava or whoever you're going to work with, I really don't want to do this, but I need to work on my public speaking. I need to become more confident. And then you have some type of opportunity. Similarities, cool. Yeah, although I'm an extrovert and enjoy activities with people, I prefer to work alone. Yeah. And also think about why you prefer to work alone. Because sometimes we like to work alone because it's like, I have control, I know what I'm gonna do, I trust myself. And so if that's the situation, then like you also have to work with people more to learn to trust people. And then you learn there are some people you just can't trust. So, you learn who you can trust and, who you work well with. And the reality is sometimes you got to work with people you don't work well with. My overall personality and how it aligns with goals and interests. Yes, I see that. You resonate with some part of it, it can still be true. Yep. Yeah, things change depending on the situation. You're a commander. Yes. So the commander, just be aware of sometimes people don't want to be commanded. So sometimes the person you will command is yourself. And so you just got to, a lot of it is you got to fill out the group, Sometimes you've had a class project and nobody wants to step up, and then you're the one because you're the commander. So you got it. I didn't think I have an entertainer personality. Well, maybe you will be host of an event, whether it be virtual or in person, and you will, work on those entertainment skills. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for participating. So although, I say I don't work at Brooklyn College anymore, but I am forever grateful to Brooklyn College, and I'm still in the community system. Feel free to reach out to me. I have my email here. Social media, LinkedIn. Also, if you don't have LinkedIn, then feel free to email me. We could work on that together because LinkedIn is helpful in so many ways. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Feel free to follow. I'll follow back. And I'm excited to hear and see all of the things that you work on this semester. So thank you for your participation, for all that you shared. And thank you for having me here today.